Something is shifting in New Delhi. Quiet, deliberate, almost imperceptible. But if the moves India is making today continue, they could change the balance of power in Asia, and perhaps the world. For decades, India has walked a careful line. Between Washington and Beijing, Moscow and Tokyo, it has strived for strategic autonomy, a rare path in a world divided by alliances and rivalries. But now, a question hangs over the Indian subcontinent. Has India moved too early toward China? This is more than a diplomatic nuance. It is a gamble with consequences that stretch from the Himalayas to the South China Sea, from New Delhi to Washington, and far beyond. India and China share a long and complicated history. Border disputes, war, trade, and diplomacy have all shaped their relationship. In 1962, India faced defeat at the hands of China in a brief but bitter war. Since then, suspicion has lingered in New Delhi, guiding decades of cautious foreign policy. Yet the two giants are drawn together by a common reality. Both seek economic growth, technological progress, and influence in Asia, sometimes in complementary ways, sometimes in competition. India has always been wary of Beijing's intentions. And for good reason. China is not just a neighbor. It is a global superpower with ambitions that stretch across continents. In recent years, India has taken steps that, to some observers, seem closer to Beijing than ever before. Participation in the BRICS group, which increasingly aligns with China's global economic vision. Strategic dialogue on trade, technology, and infrastructure, sometimes ahead of coordination with Western partners. High-level meetings and cooperation in multilateral forums where Chinese influence is strong. To some analysts, these moves signal pragmatism. To others, they look like a subtle pivot, a tilt toward the east. India's motivations are complex. Strategic autonomy is one, but there are others. Economic necessity. China is the world's second-largest economy. Trade, investment, and technology cannot be ignored. Geopolitical balancing. India faces multiple threats, not just from China, but from Pakistan, instability in the Indian Ocean, and internal pressures. Aligning with China, even partially, can serve as leverage. Energy and infrastructure. Chinese investments in Asia, through initiatives like the Belt and Road, cannot be fully avoided. India's engagement can be both cautious and opportunistic. This is not simple alignment. It is a calculated move, a way to hedge risks while keeping options open. But every shift carries danger. If India leans too soon toward China, it may alienate long-standing partners in Washington and Tokyo. Dependence on Chinese technology and supply chains could limit India's independence. Border tensions in the Himalayas could escalate if misperceptions arise. Domestic critics may see the move as compromising India's sovereignty. Every handshake, every trade deal, every joint statement carries weight in this high-stakes game. The West is watching with caution. Washington wonders, is India drifting away from the democratic camp? Europe is curious. Can India still act as a counterweight to China? Beijing, on the other hand, is likely interpreting every Indian gesture as either cautious acceptance or restrained partnership, yet unsure of how far India will go. Inside India, opinions are divided. Some applaud the pragmatism, some fear the costs. And Prime Minister Modi's government faces a delicate balancing act, trying to maintain sovereignty while navigating global pressure. India's foreign policy has always been a tightrope walk. The country's leaders must weigh economic growth versus geopolitical risk, cooperation versus dependence, pragmatism versus principle. If India moves too close to China too early, it may lose leverage. If it resists, it may miss opportunities for growth and regional influence. This is the paradox of strategic autonomy. Flexibility is power, but it is also a constant source of uncertainty. Why does this matter to the world? Because India is not just a regional power anymore. It is the world's most populous democracy. It is an economic engine driving Asia. It sits at the crossroads of the Indo-Pacific. Every step India takes affects not only China and the United States, but the global order itself. Allies and rivals alike watch New Delhi carefully, knowing that India's choices may determine alliances, trade, and security for decades. India has always bet on itself. And yet, betting on itself now means navigating a world of giants where a single misstep can have profound consequences. The question is not just whether India is tilting toward China, but whether India can maintain its independence while engaging with Beijing. Can it leverage Chinese partnership without being trapped? Can it engage without compromising sovereignty? The answer is uncertain. The stakes are immense, and the world is watching every move. India's path has never been easy. Its choice now, how close or how far it moves toward China, will define the next chapter in its story. This is not merely diplomacy. This is a test of strategy, patience, and vision. For India, moving too early toward China could be dangerous. Moving too late could be costly. But perhaps that is the essence of being a great power in the 21st century. To act boldly but carefully, to engage but remain independent, to gamble yet always bet on yourself. And in that gamble lies the story of India, and perhaps the story of our century.